Every American tank ever made. It started as a tractor and became the deadliest predator on Earth. Today, we track the complete evolution of American armor across every single era. This is the story of U.S. tanks. World War I and early interwar. Starting off with CLB-75, this weird prototype was essentially a tractor wearing a steel box. It looked more like a moving shipping container than a fighting machine. Holt Gas Electric. America's first tank attempt was a gas-electric hybrid, way ahead of its time. Sadly, it was too heavy and clunky to survive the Great War's mud. Skeleton Tank. This bizarre machine was mostly air. Designers used iron pipes for a massive frame, hoping to cross wide trenches without getting stuck or weighed down. Ford M1918. Basically the Model T of tanks, small, cheap, and designed for swarms. It was meant to overwhelm enemies, but the war ended before mass production began. Then M1917 Light Tank series, essentially a licensed copy of the French Renault FT. This tank became the backbone of early American armor, serving loyally for years after the war ended. Mark 8 Liberty. A colossal joint effort between Britain and America. This behemoth was so long it could span wide trenches, but its sheer size made it a logistical nightmare. M1921 Medium Tank, an important shift from tiny tanks. This model featured a fully rotating turret, helping set the stage for almost all future tank development. M1922 Medium Tank. This evolution focused on suspension, using a complex cable system. It was supposed to make the ride smoother, but mostly just made maintenance a headache. Up next, T1 Light Tank series. These 1920s experiments tested new ideas. They were surprisingly fast for the time, but lacked the heavy armor needed to survive actual combat. T1 Christie M1919. Designed by the legendary Walter Christie, this radical convertible ran on tracks or wheels. It was incredibly fast on roads, but the military found it too weird. T2 Medium Tank. A heavy, boxy prototype trying to force a large cannon and machine guns together. Ultimately, it was just too heavy and underpowered to actually work well. Interwar period. M1931 Christie, Walter Christie's masterpiece. Its revolutionary suspension allowed it to literally fly over rough ground at speeds totally unheard of in the early 1930s. M1 Light Tank series. To bypass legal rules, the cavalry called these combat cars instead of tanks. They were fast, lightly armored speedsters focused entirely on scouting missions. M2 Light Tank series, the direct ancestor to the famous Stuart. Early versions had multiple turrets like a battleship, but it eventually settled on a standard layout. T4 Medium Tank, a fast medium tank borrowing Christie suspension. It showed promise on roads, but threw a tantrum whenever the ground turned into a muddy mess. Up next, T7 Combat Car, an experiment in extreme speed using wheels. It was lightning fast on flat ground, but lacked the versatility to be a real frontline tank. M2 Medium Tank series. This tank was a machine gun porcupine, bristling with guns pointing in every direction. It wasn't a great fighter, but it taught designers what a medium tank should actually be. Marmon Harrington CTLS series. Tiny light tanks built mostly for export. They weren't powerful, but were cheap, easy to build, and simple to maintain during the chaotic early war years. World War II. M3 Stewart series. Famous for speed and reliability, British crews affectionately nicknamed this light tank Honey. It became a favorite for scouting missions throughout the entire Second World War. MTLS-1 G14, a strange design with two main cannons in one turret. Originally built for the Dutch, it ended up mostly as a quirky trainer for American forces. CTM-3BT, another export design that saw limited use. This three-man light tank tried to pack a punch, but never really found its place in the U.S. arsenal. Now, this is the M3 Lee Grant series, a tall, awkward stopgap with a massive gun mounted in the hull, not the turret. It looked funny, but brought desperate firepower when the Allies needed it most. Next, M4 Sherman series, the legendary backbone of Allied victory. Neither the heaviest nor the most powerful, it won by being reliable, repairable, and produced in absolutely staggering numbers. M6 Heavy Tank Series, America's first real heavy tank attempt. It was massive and well-armed, but sadly too fat for most bridges to actually handle. T7 Light Tank M7 Medium Series. Started as a light tank but ate too much and became a medium. It couldn't compete with the Sherman, so the project was cancelled. T20, T22, T23 Medium Tank Series. Experimental replacements for the Sherman. Featuring lower profiles and fancy transmissions, they paved the way for the next generation of American armor. Then M5 Stuart Series, an upgrade to early light tanks with twin Cadillac engines. Exceptionally fast, it stayed useful long after heavier armor outclassed it. M22 Locust. This tiny tank could be carried in a glider. Meant to support paratroopers, its paper-thin armor made it very vulnerable once it hit the ground. T-14 Heavy Tank, a joint British and American project to create a heavily armored assault tank. Only a few prototypes were built before everyone decided mobility was more important. M24 Chaffee, a huge leap forward. With a powerful 75mm gun and a silky smooth suspension, the Chaffee was a highly effective scout and fighter. M26 Pershing Series, finally a heavy hitter that could punch back at German Tigers. It arrived late but proved to be a formidable modern tank design. T26E4 Super Pershing, an experimental Pershing variant with additional armor bolted on. Its oversized gun introduced significant balance issues due to its extreme weight. T28 T95 Super Heavy Tank. Less tank, more moving fortress. Incredibly slow, it needed 4 sets of tracks just to support its massive weight and thick armor. T29 Heavy Tank Series. Designed to hunt king tigers, this monster featured a massive turret. It never saw combat, but its DNA influenced many Cold War designs. Up next, T30 Heavy Tank, a heavy tank variant equipped with a massive 155mm gun. It was designed for sheer demolition power against the toughest enemy bunkers. T32 Heavy Tank Series, essentially a Pershing on steroids. It used similar parts, but featured much thicker armor and a more powerful long-range cannon for sniping. T-34 Heavy Tank Series, the final post-war heavy tank evolution. It featured a converted anti-aircraft gun with incredible armor-piercing capabilities for the time. Early Cold War and Korea. Continuing with M46 Patton Series, the first tank named after General Patton, an improved Pershing with a much better engine. It served as the main battle.
If you found this helpful or learned something new, don't forget to hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss future videos like this. Feel free to drop your thoughts or questions in the comments. I'd love to hear from you.